The River Path by John Greenleaf Whittier. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista, Zaleski. No birdsong floated down the hill, the tangled bank below was still. No rustle from the birchen stem, no ripple from the water's hem. The dusk of twilight round us grew, we felt the falling of the dew. For from us ere the day was done, the wooded hills shut out the sun. But on the river's farthest side, we saw the hilltops glorified. A tender glow exceeding fair, a dream of day without its glare. With us the damp, the chill, the gloom, with them the sunset's rosy bloom. While dark through willowy vistas seen, the river rolled in shade between. From out the darkness where we trod, we gazed upon those hills of God, whose light seemed not of moon or sun. We spake not, but our thought was one. We paused as if from that bright shore beckoned our dear ones gone before, and stilled our beating hearts to hear the voices lost to mortal ear. Sudden our pathway turned from night, the hills swung open to the light. Through their green gates the sunshine showed, a long slant splendor downward flowed. Down glade and glen and bank it rolled, it bridged the shaded stream with gold, and borne on piers of mist allied, the shadowy with the sunlit side. So prayed we when our feet draw near, the river dark with mortal fear, and the night cometh chill with dew. O Father, let thy light break through. So let the hills of doubt divide, so bridge with faith the sunless tide. So let the eyes that fail on earth on thy eternal hills look forth, and in thy beckoning angels know the dear ones whom we loved below. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Excelsior by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista, Zaleski. The shades of night were falling fast, as through an alpine village passed a youth who bore mid snow and ice a banner with a strange device, Excelsior. His brow was sad, his eye beneath flashed like a falchion from its sheath, and like a silver clarion rung the accents of that unknown tongue, Excelsior! In happy homes he saw the light of household fires gleam warm and bright. Above, the spectral glacier shone, and from his lips escaped a groan, Excelsior! Try not the pass, the old man said, dark lowers the tempest overhead. The roaring torrents deep and wide, and loud that clarion voice replied, Excelsior! Oh, stay, the maiden said, and rest thy weary head upon this breast. A tear stood in his bright blue eye, but still he answered with a sigh, Excelsior! Beware the pine tree's withered branch, beware the awful avalanche. This was the peasant's last good night. A voice replied far up the height, Excelsior! At break of day, as heavenward, the pious monks of St. Bernard uttered the oft-repeated prayer, a voice cried through the startled air, Excelsior! A traveller by the faithful hound, half buried in the snow was found, still grasping in his hand of ice that banner with the strange device, Excelsior! There in the twilight, cold and grey, lifeless but beautiful he lay. And from the sky, serene and far, a voice fell like a falling star, Excelsior! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. The Rose by James Russell Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista, Zaleski. Part 1. In his tower sat the poet, gazing on the roaring sea. "Take this rose," he sighed, "and throw it where there's none that loveth me." On the rock the billow bursteth, and sinks back into the seas. But in vain my spirit thirsteth so to burst and be at ease. Take, O sea, the tender blossom that hath lain against my breast. On thy black and angry bosom it will find a surer rest. Life is vain and love is hollow, ugly death stands there behind. Hate and scorn and hunger follow him that toileth for his kind. Forth into the night he hurled it, and with bitter smile did mark how the surly tempest whirled it swift into the hungry dark. Foam and spray drive back to leeward, and the gale with dreary moan drifts the helpless blossom seaward through the breakers all alone. Part 2. Stands a maiden on the morrow, musing by the wave-beat strand, half in hope and half in sorrow, tracing words upon the sand. Shall I ever then behold him who hath been my life so long? Ever to this sick heart fold him, be the spirit of his song? Touch not, sea, the blessed letters I have traced upon thy shore. Spare his name whose spirit fetters mine with love for evermore. Swells the tide and overflows it, but with omen pure and meet, brings a little rose and throws it humbly at the maiden's feet. Full of bliss she takes the token, and upon her snowy breast soothes the ruffled petals broken with the ocean's fierce unrest. Love is thine, O heart, and surely peace shall also be thine own, for the heart that trusteth purely never long can pine alone. Part 3. In his tower sits the poet, bliss is new and strange to him. Fill his heart and overflow it with a wonder sweet and dim. Up the beach the ocean slideth with a whisper of delight, and the moon in silence glideth through the peaceful blue of night. Rippling o'er the poet's shoulder flows a maiden's golden hair. Maiden lips, with love grown bolder, kiss his moonlight forehead bare. Life is joy, and love is power. Death all fetters doth unbind. Strength and wisdom only flower when we toil for all our kind. Hope is truth, the future giveth more than present takes away, and the soul forever liveth nearer God from day to day. Not a word the maiden uttered, fullest hearts are slow to speak, but a withered rose leaf fluttered down upon the poet's cheek. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Baby Bell by Thomas Bailey Aldrich. Read for LibriVox.org by Krista Zaleski. Have you not heard the poets tell how came the dainty baby bell into this world of ours? The gates of heaven were left ajar. With folded hands and dreamy eyes, wandering out of paradise, she saw this planet like a star, hung in the glistening depths of even, its bridges running to and fro, o'er which the white-winged angels go. Bearing the holy dead to heaven, she touched a bridge of flowers, those feet, so light they did not bend the bells of the celestial asphodels. They fell like dew upon the flowers, then all the air grew strangely sweet, and thus came dainty baby Bell into this world of ours. 2. She came and brought delicious May. The swallows built beneath the eaves, like sunlight in and out the leaves. The robins went the livelong day. The lily swung its noiseless bell, and o'er the porch the trembling vine seemed bursting with its veins of wine. How sweetly, softly twilight fell! Oh, earth was full of singing birds, and opening springtide flowers, when the dainty baby Belle came to this world of ours. 3. Oh, dainty baby Belle, how fair she grew from day to day. What woman nature filled her eyes, what poetry within them lay, those deep and tender twilight eyes. So full of meaning, pure and bright, as if she yet stood in the light of those oped gates of paradise, and so we loved her more and more. Ah, never in our hearts before was love so lovely born. We felt we had a link between this real world and that unseen. The land beyond the morn, and for the love of those dear eyes, for love of her whom God led forth, the mother's being ceased on earth when baby came from paradise. For love of him who smote our lives and woke the chords of joy and pain, we said, Dear Christ, our hearts bent down like violets after rain. 4. And now the orchards, which were white and red with blossoms when she came, were rich in autumn's mellow prime. The clustered apples burnt like flame, the soft-cheeked peaches blushed and fell, the ivory chestnut burst its shell, the grapes hung purpling in the grange, and time wrought just as rich a change in little baby Belle. Her lithesome form more perfect grew, and in her features we could trace, in softened curves, her mother's face. Her angel nature ripened too. We thought her lovely when she came, but she was holy, saintly now. Around her pale angelic brow we saw a slender ring of flame. 5. God's hand had taken away the seal that held the portals of her speech, and off she said a few strange words whose meaning lay beyond our reach. She never was a child to us. We never held her being's key. We could not teach her holy things. She was Christ's self in purity. 6. It came upon us by degrees. We saw its shadow ere it fell, the knowledge that our God had sent his messenger for baby Belle. We shuddered with unlanguaged pain, and all our hopes were changed to fears, and all our thoughts ran into tears, like sunshine into rain. We cried aloud in our belief, Oh, smite us gently, gently, God. Teach us to bend and kiss the rod, and perfect grow through grief. Ah, how we loved her, God can tell. Her heart was folded deep in ours. Our hearts are broken, baby Belle. 7. At last he came, the messenger from unseen lands. And what did dainty baby Belle? She only crossed her little hands. She only looked more meek and fair. We parted back her silken hair. We wove the roses round her brow, white buds, the summer's drifted snow, wrapped her from head to foot in flowers, and thus went dainty baby Belle out of this world of ours. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of Christmastide, containing 4 poems by favorite American poets.